those are the words of Ben Davidson as he believes that his young fighter, Moses Itauma, is just 2 fights away from completing or competing at the top level, and he wouldn't bet against him taking on Alexander Usyk. After just 20 years old, the Slovakian-born British southpaw has stormed through the division, boasting an 11-0 record with 9 KOs since his pro debut in January of 23. His most explosive win came in December of 21 of 24 when he demolished Dempsey McKean in 1 round and the Usyk Fury 2 undercard. Okay, and he believes that with the rankings, Ben says that I wouldn't bet my house that he wouldn't, said Davidson. Would it be a risk? Of course, but I don't think there's anyone in the division he can't beat. And let me counterpunch. That may be true based on where Usyk's at right now. Fury's out of the picture. Daniel Dubois probably would be as tough as him or Parker or I get Caballero. There's a lot of tough opponents for him. But then what's most importantly, there's a lot of young opponents for him. And I think, and I believe everybody should stay in their lane. You know what I mean? Because, Joseph Parker, I get Caballero, Martin Bacali, Anthony Joshua, even Daniel Dubois, those guys, you got a couple others, like Miller and Hergovic and, Joyce and all those other guys that are a bit older than those guys that I just mentioned. But those guys belong to be battling it out right now in their own circle of fights. They should be making fights like that. As far as Moses goes, Moses could probably beat those guys, but I think he's a part of another era. I think the era, yes, he started his career, but he's nowhere near that particular range or that type of circle yet. I think everything is just due, and I believe that Moses Itauma needs to fight guys like maybe Fabio Wardley, Frazier Clark, Jermaine Franklin, Jared Anderson, Bakary Jololov. There's a lot of guys that are up and coming. The Beto brothers, what happened to them? Why not some of those guys? Okay, those guys, even Frank Sanchez, and I think Frank Sanchez could fit into either category based on his age. You see what I mean? So I think there's a lot of fights for Moses Itauma that he should be fighting before comparing him to those guys that are on their way out. You know what I mean? Because there's no reason that they would fight him younger in his career. And why would you risk it anyway with someone up and coming and has that type of potential? I appreciate Ben, bigging him up, giving him that confidence boost. Nothing wrong with that. Hell, he did it with AJ and got him knocked out. But seriously, honestly, though, I think, Moses Itauma probably has what it takes to whoop all these guys. But the question is, why? Why would you want to push him right now? I don't think that's necessary. He hadn't beat Mike Tyson's record, so there's no urgency to keep pushing this guy like they did AJ. You see what I'm saying? They are pushing him, by comparing him, by fluttering his mind with all types of other possibilities of fighting all these guys that are on their way out. I don't think it's fair to him. Could he beat him? I think he probably could, but why would they fight him, and why should he fight them? You see what I mean? The only reason he would fight any of those guys if they have a belt, and if he wanted to be a champion, he wanted to be a champion right now. But there's no reason for that, and there's no urgency for that right now. Let this man develop. But you guys tell me what you think of Ben Davidson and his thoughts that he wouldn't bet against Moses Itauma to beat any of those guys in the heavyweight division right now in their primes or past their primes. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch.